everyone. Welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Mika Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. Our charity of the month is Palomacy, and you can help me help them help the animals, specifically pigeons, by donating to our fundraiser here on Twitch, which I actually remembered to update today to be to Palomacy. Visiting their website, which I've posted in the chat, or simply by watching my streams and bringing your friends, because I'll be making my own donation at the end of the month based on my unique viewers count. If you enjoyed today's stream, please support my creative work by becoming a Twitch subscriber to remove ads and get cute emotes, joining my Patreon for illustrated postcards and prints in the mail, or sending me some creative fuel through Buy Me a Coffee. Links to all these can be found in my Twitch About section. Today is Wednesday, so I'm back to work on illustration. I am creating my 2025 Christmas card illustration. Yesterday we left off on creating some templates for snowflake shapes because I want to illustrate some gingerbread snowflakes, and I realized that having a template makes it look more like a cookie cutter, so that seems more like a cookie than trying to hand draw it with that accuracy. It won't look like a cookie because with the cookie cutter you just stamp it out, just like I'm doing with visual right here. What I realized was that it will really help me if I measure how big I want these snowflakes to be. So before the stream I figured out how to get this nice grid on here. I'm using Clip Studio Paint right now. And this has got inches marked and then every quarter inch as well. So what I'm going to do is grab my background painting that I created yesterday and a ruler. And also, no, you can't see this right now because I'm on the digital side of things, but I've got my little composition sketch so I can see kind of how big I was imagining. So I was imagining these background snowflake cookies very small. So if each side is just 5 inches, these are definitely smaller than an inch in the background. So what I've got, so let's see, if I made them an inch wide. Sorry, I can't show you this. I can't show you it easily. It'll waste a bunch of time. So I'm just going to do it myself. So that would fit 5 across if they were done tip to tip on one side of the card. 1 inch seems good too when I'm seeing how big it will look on the page. In the sketch I've actually drawn them, I think, what would be smaller than an inch when... Oops, sorry about that loud noise. I was trying to get my swipey brush. There was a little crumb on this background painting. And then my other stuff kind of... I pulled it out of a little tin that I have everything in, and it all kind of fell over to one side. It didn't fall down, but it made a gap when I pulled the brush out, and everything filled that gap. And that's what that loud noise was. Okay. So let's do 1 inch. 1 inch. So you can see that this would be an inch from here to here, and these are definitely bigger than that. So what we want to do is select all these and then Control T to transform, and we'll bring it down until they fit within an inch. Or at least this first one. They might all be a slightly different size. If that's the case, then I'll have to do them one by one. Doesn't have to be perfect either, but So this is, yeah, it's a little bit bigger than 1 inch on one axis for that one, but which one we got here? Same here. That's not a problem. Yeah. This seems like good size. And this was like almost exactly 1 inch on the y-axis. And this one is bigger on all sides, but it's really, really close, so we'll just let it be. And when I say that, I feel like they're still a little bit too big, so let's just change them. Let's make them a little tiny bit smaller. So Control T to transform, and we're just going to pull it down till it fits. That one's alright, we'll just leave that one. Okay, now those are each 1 inch. But there are 2 more snowflakes that I want to depict, and they're going to be bigger and more detailed. So first, I'll just pick which kind of snowflake shape I want. I've got all these lovely options. I'd like to pick different from what I've already got here. So there's this one. This one, it's got to be something that makes sense as a cookie too. Some of them, I think, yeah, this one I ended up not going with because it just looks a little bit too precocious right there, that if it was a cookie it would probably break. This one's the worst one for that. Look at how tiny that is. These little lobes would break off if we did it as a cookie. Okay, use this as a small one. Like this one. Let's use this one. And between this one and this one, I think I like the less sharp looking one because it's a cookie, so it should look really inviting. If it's really sharp, that looks kind of dangerous to be eating. So now let's figure out about what size these cookies seem like they should be. There may be one and a half times the size of the background cookies. So if I make them 2 times as big, that's 2 inches wide. We err on the side of bigger. Then we can see what that looks like too. Compared to the small ones. Does it look big enough to be different, or is it too close, too similar? Oh, that looks big enough to be different. This is 2 inches at the longest point, give or take. I like lining it up on the grid. It's really satisfying. Alright, close enough. And then this one, yeah, let's go with this. This doesn't take up nearly as much room as I thought on the page. I just want to print it on a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet. If I can find, oh, I'm right over it. Print. Nope, not the Epson. We just want to do it on the Brother for some quick toner style printing. Okay. Make sure that it's full size. So paper size, letter. Okay, hopefully I have some paper loaded in there. Print preview. Boom. Looks good. Well, let's save this too. This is a useful thing to have. Okay, time to move over to the physical workspace. I realize this is going to be fun. I need to do a tracing method because I'm using this super thick watercolor paper, so putting the light box behind it, it might work. I guess I can try it first, but if it doesn't, I have another option. Okay, switching over to the physical media workstation, which means I gotta move my mic. Okay, that's done. But there's still more stuff to move. I gotta move my keyboard, mouse, and secondary monitor. Keyboard, mouse, pull my chair out. Okay. Here we go. I can show you the printout. The cool thing about this too, I mostly just want the outline, but I can use these details to give me inspiration for the frosting when I draw the frosting on there. Okay, so this is my little sketch. This is what we're working towards, my comp sketch. Put that there. Done with this ruler for now. And this is the dry, fully dry, and it's got some really extra dark pieces there, but that's okay. Fully dry background that we painted yesterday. It looks pretty good. I wish it looked as good on the camera as it does in real life. For some reason it struggles with, it doesn't like how blue this is, so it's making it warmer than it actually is. But at least you can see that nice texture that we got from the sponge, using the multiple layers of sponging the watercolor on, giving it time to dry. Okay, that's going over here for now though, because we don't need it. We don't need it yet. So I have several sheets of paper. I could do 2 big ones on here. These are so much smaller than I thought they'd be. But I'm working a lot smaller, because 10 by 7 is significantly smaller than my favorite large size, which is actually not that big in the grand scheme of things, but 9 by 12 is my preferred large size. So first I can try getting my light pad out. Well, it's technically called bright pad, bright pad, whatever it is, and seeing if I can see through. But this, you can see, super thick paper, so it might not show through. And if it doesn't, we'll use a different technique. Nice battery powered light bright pad. Let's see, where do I could clip it. Boop. Put that on. Turn it on and turn my lights off. This might actually work, because I just need the generic outline. I don't have to have I don't need the details. Okay, it seems like it's gonna work, so I've got to turn off the rest of my lights in my room and close my curtains. Okay. It's as dark as it's getting in here, except that that light is still on for the upper puppy cam. Okay. What I normally do is tape this down, but these are so small. Hopefully it'll be good enough just to hold it down. If not, I'll try again elsewhere. Okay, so what do I want to do? I could do this, or I could just do this small sheet. Oh, that fits so perfect. Let's do this small sheet. Oh my goodness. Chappie wants to bark. Let me let her out so that she's not super disturbing on stream. You need to go out. Out you go. Whew, at least she only did a little small bark instead of a huge, shocking one. That's what it is. It's shocking. She barks suddenly because she thinks she hears something. Alright. So what I've got is my mechanical pencil. And I'm just going to outline. Chappie already wants back in. Too bad, Chappie. You're gonna have to wait outside for a minute. That's what you get for barking at everything all the time these days. She didn't used to bark so much, but now she does. She barks at everything. She's a big barking girl. Oops, turned it off by accident. That's why I don't like touch sensitive stuff. I don't like touch screens. I don't like touch buttons. They are too easy to accidentally do something. Oh, she's barking again. I'm glad I didn't let her back in. Right, let me see what it's supposed to be. It's It's actually really hard to see what's going on this page, but that's great because it gives it a little organic feel, because even though I'm trying to get a cookie cutter vibe, it doesn't have to be perfect, because if you've ever used a cookie cutter, oops, I did it again. It doesn't always cut it perfectly. But this is so uneven. No, I think this is not going to work. Because look at how I couldn't see what was happening over here. And this looks totally different from this side. Or I couldn't see on this side. Either way. Let's try again. With a different technique. The paper's just too thick. So the other technique is a little bit more time consuming. Oh, I just thought of something else I can do. It's not as time consuming. I will just outline it with a thicker black marker. Let's see if I've got something in here that'll do. This one, 08. This is gray though, I want a black one. Here's a graphic too. That's a sort of chisel tip. Alright, I don't have one in there, but I do have one in my little Copic pencil. Oh, if I can get it out from around my water. So we'll use this 01. Make the line really thick so that it can be seen through the thick watercolor paper. At least that's my hope. We'll see how it works. That's the fun part about creating stuff, is you never know exactly how it's going to work, so just try to figure it out as you go. Learn some new techniques or make them up. You can use it in other pieces later or whatever. Not knowing exactly how it's going to work is actually one of the fun parts. That's why I like physical media more than digital media. Digital media has its place in my work. I use it all the time, but it's not my favorite thing. It's just a supporting medium. This also helps give a little separation between the perfectness of the digital shape, the digitally created shape, and the hand-drawn nature of an illustration. Or at least the hand-drawn nature of my illustrations. Oh, that's much better. This one, for some reason, this little one, ended up getting a thicker outline on its own. So I'm going to use a slightly smaller pen for these little ones just because they have this smaller nooks and crannies to navigate. Try the 08. Maybe that'll be thick enough to see through the paper. This is exactly why I started this Christmas card illustration last month. Even though it's only October now, to make an illustration I really, really love, I need this much time because I like to do all these little detailed things. All these little time-consuming things. If I could somehow make art of the caliber that makes me proud of what I've accomplished faster, then I would, but the things I like to do, the things that create the end result that makes me feel it was worth it, and that creates a piece that I still love years later, even though my skill level has increased by then or whatever. It just takes time. One more. Okay. Something else about this is that it's less messy than the other tracing method. So that's another reason I'd rather try this first, even if ultimately I still have to go to the other tracing method. I've already drawn these. I could try erasing, but it doesn't usually produce that great of results. So I think what I'm gonna do is try again for these. Oops. Lowering the brightness. Okay, I'm gonna turn it this way so that I'm not putting my hand there. That little sticker is there. On the back, it's showing through. So we'll just try to get the big cookies on this side. And then I'll get that other sheet for the little cookies. Sometimes this watercolor paper, the texture on it makes the pencil move in a direction that I'm not meaning to. It's great having these other ones that I wasn't happy with the shape. I realized because I can use them as a test to figure out which colors I want to use and how I want to use them, because I'm going to try using these watercolor pencils that I've never used before that I received as a gift. Yeah, that looks way better compared to this wonky one. And then this nice, more cookie cutter type one. Here's the other wonky one. Here's the more cookie cutter type one. I wrote on here tests so that I would remember. So that I shall set up that way. Now, let's see about tracing these little ones. I feel like I want at least 2 groups. So if I had 6, let's see how many. How many are in the sketch? In the sketch we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's pretty close. If we just did 6 for each side, so 2 groups of 6, that might be enough. First 6 done. Okay. 2 sets of 6. Done. I'm going to turn all my lights back on and open my curtains so it's not super dark in here anymore. Some of these, especially this one, I want to try. I might not be able to do it, but I want to try to erase a little bit. As I said, it's really hard to erase off of watercolor paper and get it completely clean again. Well, that looked good enough. It's good enough. There are a few little tiny areas like that, so I'll try to get those too. Okay. So first let's do the test ones. Ooh, excuse me. Oh, suddenly I had a sneeze. That wasn't obvious because of the fact that I sneezed. We gotta open this first though. Can't do the test without the stuff we're testing. So this colored pencil set, watercolor pencil set, can't remember when I received it. I wonder if I can search. So I like taking pictures of gifts I receive. So maybe the Google photo search is smart enough. How do I search? Show me pictures of colored pencils. Wow, it's pretty good. Here's a watercolor pencil set. Here's a colored pencil set. A different, oh wait, there's colored pencils in the background of this one and colored pencils here. So far. This is so funny. I've never used this updated search before. You have several photos showcasing your collection of colored pencils, including vintage Mongo colored pencils and Prismacolor sets, often alongside your beautiful artwork and other art supplies. Oh, that's so wonderful that it tells me my artwork is beautiful. You can also see yourself with some of your art supplies, including colored pencils. But none of these are this set, so maybe it's because it was with a pile of gifts. Let me try. That was cute though. I'm just gonna go to Last Christmas and see. Alright, December. Just curious, how long did it take me to start using these? Oh, okay, not bad. Here's the pile of stuff it came with. There they are. Last Christmas. It's not bad. It took me less than a year. I can't say the same for some of those other ones that I showed you just now. Okay. That's that. Put my phone back. What I need to open this is, I think this is called a blister pack, and I hate these. It's like impossible to open. You literally have to have specialty tools. So I've got these scissors, and I hate using scissors for this too, because I feel like it ruins the scissors, but there's just no way around it. I'm gonna back this camera up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm not going to keep them in this. It's this plastic, if nothing else, it's annoying because it gets so sharp in certain areas. So this is definitely going in my specialty plastic recycling collection. I love getting every single year from, what is it called? TerraCycle? Oh, I've got some boxes here from it for batteries. Anyway, it's this specialty recycling place, and every Thanksgiving-ish time, US Thanksgiving, they have a sale. It's the best sale of the year for their everything box, where you can recycle almost anything as long as it's not a hazardous material. So I get that every year. Sometimes I get a bigger one or a smaller one, but I collect stuff throughout the rest of the year knowing that I'm going to get it. This doesn't have any extra information other than what was already visible. That can go in the regular recycling. Wow, these have a very strong smell. I'm surprised. Can't say whether it's a good or a bad smell. It's not a good smell. But I've smelled worse things. So they look very vibrant and beautiful though. I might keep them in these little plastic holders. Just find some way to... I had gotten a rubber band, but I think I might keep them in these. Find some way to store them in this. But not this stuff. It's too sharp. Ow! Yeah, it's sharp. Even this part lifted up. It felt like if I wasn't careful, I would just definitely cut myself. Give myself a plastic cut. Ugh. No, no, no. Alright, this thing go in the specialty recycle collection. In it goes. Done with the scissors. Guess while I'm at it, I'll put this thing in the paper recycle too. Boom. Okay. I have lots of colors to choose from. Let's get I think I'll put these up here. I wish I'd put them in rainbow order. That's what I often end up reorganizing things into if they don't have numbers, but these look like they have numbers. W2020. Oh, can't get it out there. W2014, 2001. Oh, these aren't even they're definitely not in order, because here's 2023, this is 2020, just 2014. So that one's obviously out of order. Man, maybe I won't keep these in here. I can't get them out. I can't get them out of here. Okay, forget this. It's annoying. I can't get them out of this. Ah! Maybe I'll use this for storage, but not when I'm actually using them. There. So much better. Boom. I'm definitely not going to need all of these pictures. Mostly need browns just realized my stream preview is super weird. It has all my tags lined up in a tall column. So my stream preview is tiny. Instead of, it used to be this big. But now my tags are taking up this much space. And the little stream preview on Twitch is like this. What the heck? What's the point of that? Well, whatever, I guess. Because that works. Wish it wouldn't have this. This is definitely new. It wasn't like this yesterday. At least my bitrate is excellent. Yay! I was plagued with poor bitrate for like, I feel like a couple of years. And then we even got fiber internet earlier this year. Or late last year. I can't remember, but I think it was earlier this year. And it was still poor, so I'm like, alright, it's not our side because we have the best possible thing. Well, it seems to have figured itself out because now my bitrate has been looking good the last few days. Alrighty. I have these test snowflakes, but I need just a swatch area. So I'm going to use this part of the little snowflake paper. Oh, I didn't get any brushes. Probably just need one. Especially considering how small these are. I'll just use this one. Little size, what did it say, 4? Little size 4 round brush. Cha-cha! So I've got my bowl full of water, towels over here. The colors, I'm not sure exactly what colors I will want. Let me look at my reference photos. Well, there's a few different browns. It depends on the photo, the lighting and the styling of the photo. So there's this one is a little more on the yellow side. And these ones have all the frosting on them. Some of them are clearly sugar cookies, and it's like this is obviously a sugar cookie. This one is a little bit more... Yeah, see, like these are in shadow, so they look darker. And then this one has the brown frosting on it too. These ones look a lot darker. And then these ones, they look so perfect, it looks like they've been AI treated. But they could just be really, really, really well made cookies. As for the color, they definitely seem... Maybe it's just because they're so puffy looking. Some of them seem darker, and especially if you compare this one to this one. The cookie part, not the frosting part. And then these ones are super light colored. And that's the last cookie reference I have. I guess since I used this background color, I will use this photo to figure out my cookie color. I mean, even in this photo, some of the cookies, probably because of the lighting, the way the lighting's hitting them, some of them look brighter and some of them look darker. Well, let's try the browns first. That's definitely the base for the cookie color. But also, oranges and yellows and other earth tones. I'm trying to make this even. It doesn't matter. I like things to be symmetrical. Okay, so let's try first the two browns I've got. So this is the dark brown, and then here's a lighter brown. Pretty sure I just heard the washing machine jingle go off. That means at break time it's time for me to put my, well, some pet beds. Today is pet bed washing day. So I've got some pet beds in the washer and just got done nice and clean. What else? I guess we should do all these yellows as well. Here's this peachy color. Go this way with the peachy color. I'll bring this down more so you can see what I'm doing better. Just making these little swatches, and then I'm going to put water on them to see what they look like. Here's another yellow. This one I don't imagine myself using because it's more of a lemon. Really bright and cool lemon yellow. But let's just try it and see. You never know. You might want to add a little freshness to it. Other colors we might want are these oranges. I guess this is the orange and the other one is kind of like a red orange going into the reds. These have names on them. Apricot, this one. This one's called Apricot. And this one's called Chili Red. Ooh. My watch wants me to get up and move too. I know it's almost time, watch. Okay, this is the last red. Then it starts to be a lot more purple. This is definitely getting a little more blue in it than the other reds that I've put down so far. I wonder if I should just go ahead and swatch them all, or just the ones that I think I want for this. I'll just try these for now. Okay, just gonna get a little water in my brush. Wow, they dissolve really nicely. I am impressed. Sometimes I've found with watercolor pencils, they don't dissolve as fully as you might like, and so you just gotta live with the texture that's still left there. But this one completely dissolved. So I don't think anyone would ever know that this was originally. So you can see here, if it'll focus for you. Guess it doesn't want to. Come on, camera, let's do this. Well, I think even without the camera cooperating, you can see how textured the pencil is dry, and then how smooth the color is once it's wet. Made wet. Wettened? Moistened? I guess moistened. Wettened. I don't know if wettened is a word. Okay, now I gotta make sure to clean my brush out really well so that I don't get cross-contamination. I don't want that yet. I do want to eventually do some combination techniques. But this is just to see what the colors look like by themselves. Yeah, this one also. These seem like a nice quality. Thank you, Sarah. She's not here today, but pretty sure this was a gift from Sarah last year. They work really nicely. Man, I wasn't hungry at lunchtime, and I'm practicing eating only when I'm hungry. Like, if I'm hungry, I eat. But if I'm not hungry, I don't eat, even if it's lunch, even if it's dinner, or whatever. Now I'm getting hungry. So I might take a little bit extra long break so that I could eat something. Eat something substantial. I had a delicious red pear before the stream. So good. I love them. I don't know if I'd ever had a red pear until this year. They're my new favorite kind of pear. They're so tasty. Yep, so far every one of these is dissolving perfectly in the water, which is excellent. Which means so far I definitely recommend these if you want to do some watercoloring using watercolor pencils. And the color looks really nice on the page too. Something to keep in mind though, the paper you use them on matters. If you use it on cheap crap paper, it's gonna make a big difference in a bad way. So always keep that in mind. Sometimes it might not be the color medium's fault if the substrate is subpar. Having a decent brush also makes a difference, because the really cheap ones, it's not that they won't spread the color or spread the water or anything necessarily, but with watercolor brushes or paint brushes in general, what I found with the super cheap ones is that the bristles just break off or fall out really, really easily, and you're picking little pieces of brush off of your painting the whole time, or they create little streaks where there's a stray one being dragged across the page, and it's not fun. So getting a decent brush is important too. Yeah, look at that. Those are so pretty. Wow. One's still wet. You can see because it's shiny. But those look like really great colors to start with for the gingerbread. Definitely. This is a surprising I feel like I need this color in my gingerbread. Let's try a combo. So we've got the dark brown. The light brown actually ended up looking more yellow than anything, but it definitely looks like a gingerbread color. Let's see what happens if we combine these three. So it's the dark brown, the light brown, so it's called walnut brown and tawny. And then this orange color, which this was yellow, yellow, peach. And then it must have been this one. I need to write the, once it's dry, I'm going to write the numbers on so that I can, or the name or something, so that I can tell which circle is which color. But I'm pretty sure it's these three. Look at how autumnal it looks too. Looks so yummy. It looks like some sort of pumpkin dessert or something. Let's try mixing them. So if we were doing the shadow in this color, and maybe base orange, and then the lightest areas this tawny color, but it comes over onto the orange too. So we want to put some orange in the dark brown too. So what does this look like when we combine it? I always like to start from the light and work to the dark, because if you work from dark to light, you'll just bring the dark all over into everything and you won't get the nice, what is the term? That transition between colors. There's a freaking term for that. I can't remember what it is. What is the term? Gradient. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you couldn't see what I was doing. The chibi Ziva butt right here. You can see it. You can see it in the puppy cam over here too. And then there's a chibi one sticking out as well. Yeah, I think I found my color combo. This looks awesome. This looks just like gingerbread. It won't look like it next to the... It just doesn't work trying to show you on camera, but trust me. That looks like gingerbread. It's still a little wet though, but so it'll dry a bit lighter than this. I think this is my color. It looks so good. It's my color combo. So let's write, are these dry? That one's still a bit damp, but I think I can write. So W 2004, this one is called. Maybe I'll just call it, I think they're all W. Checking. I think they're all W. W for watercolor probably, so we'll just call it 2004. That way I know what these swatches are. So we've got this one. And then this one is... Oh, yikes, I can't read it. It's not very well printed at all. We'll call this... Man, is it like 291B? Yikes. Oh yeah, this one you can't even read it at all. It's completely smudged. Well, I'll just have to use the real name for this one. Or the real name. The non-number identification, which is tawny. And I guess I'll just write this one. Walnut brown. I like consistency, so go back and write that. So that's this one's called. This one is just orange. Okay, sweet. And then what were the rest? This one was called Chrome Yellow. And here is Lemon Yellow. Hey, that's what I thought it was, and that's the actual name. Oops, I was putting down the wrong thing. This one is... another one. I thought this one looked like peach, and well, you know, it's called peach. Peach. And then we just work our way down. This one is called apricot, that's right. Not that I would remember, just from looking at it. This one's chili red. Oh, alizarin red. What the heck is alizar? I gotta look that up. Alizarin red. Well, actually, I'm gonna write here. Walnut brown. So I want to remember my nice color combo. And orange. And tawny. I wonder if I want to add a little bit of some cool color just for the shadow area, like blue. I've got several blues. We've got purple iris. Wow, we have so many options. Here's a reddish, this one's lavender. We also have just, oh, what's this? This is espresso. I think this must be a really dark brown. Let's see what this one looks like. Oh, we're over break time. I'm having such a great time doing this. Yeah, this is a really dark and almost green tinted, just slightly. We gotta let that one dry. All right. So I'm gonna take a little break, but I'm gonna come right back because I want to start a little food for me, but it's got to sit for a bit. I'm going to make myself a leaf side meal, so it's like a dehydrated whole food plant-based meal. And you put the boiling water in it and let it sit for 10 minutes. So I'm just going to go do that real quick. Then I'm going to come back and work until it's ready. Then I'll take my real break so that I can eat it. So I will be back in a few minutes. I recommend everyone take this opportunity to get stretched and refreshed as well. I'll be back in a little bit. everyone, I'm back. My food is soaking. So in about 10 minutes, at the top of the hour, I'm gonna take another break so I can eat it. I am so excited. It's smoky pea soup and it smells so good. It smells like barbecue chips. And it has potatoes in it. It has both sweet potatoes and white potatoes in it, plus peas and carrots and oats and quinoa and all this great stuff. So I'm really excited to eat. But it's got to soak for 10 minutes first. So let's try the next thing I thought of, which is to add a little blue color. But first, well, a cool color. It might be... What am I trying to say? It might not be blue. It might be purple instead. Let's see. So gray. Is this black? Yes, this one's black. It's called Noir. Noir is French for black. Oh, yes. This color is called espresso, so let's write that down. I don't think it actually works as well as I like this one because it's kind of greenish, so it's a cooler brown. As for blues, though, I'm trying to separate them out here. We've got these cool colors. We've got a cool green here, aquamarine, but that's not quite what I'm looking for. Let's see what these 4 blues look like. We've got purple iris, denim blue, ultramarine, and sky blue. Do little swatches of these. Bring the camera back down so you can see what I'm doing better. I don't know if the microphone picks up how dreamy the wind is outside right now. It just sounds so relaxing. Some of the leaves are falling here, but most of the trees in this vicinity still have plenty. And the world is so quiet right now. It's such a surprise. It's the middle of the afternoon, but the sound of traffic is very distant and just this slight background noise. And surprising for this time of day, maybe it's because it's a Wednesday and everybody's at work, but there's not a lot of noise coming from my neighborhood, as there's so often like people yelling or doing some sort of construction work or just zooming by in their cars making a huge racket, but that's just nothing right now. It's super quiet. There's not even any bird sounds, just the wind and the distant sound of the traffic. Oh wow, this is much different color than I thought it would be. It's so pretty. This is my favorite kind of blue. This one right here. Blue is my least favorite of the main rainbow colors, but certain shades or tones of blue look really good, like that one. So pretty. This one, yeah, It looks blue on the outside. Actually, it looks black on the outside of the pencil, but it's definitely a purple. Solid right in the middle between blue and red. So for a shadow color, just to give a little touch of coolness in the shadows, I feel this one would be best. Because this one, even though it's my favorite of these blues, it's got a little too much character on its own. It's too strong. I feel like this would blend nicely, so let's try it. It was this ultramarine. So the one I like is denim blue. This one's called ultramarine. So let's try this same gradient, but adding the ultramarine at the edge for shadow. In with this dark brown, the walnut brown. And then the orange, wow, I'm dropping it. The orange and tawny make up the rest of the color. And the tawny is the base for the whole thing. So the tawny goes all over all these colors. So now, add some water and see what the effect is when we mix these up. Doing these gradients is so satisfying. If only this could just be all I do. Just create gradients. And that blue just disappeared right in it. I mean, I just did a little single line, not very much at all. Spread it out a little bit further. Yeah, it's not bad. Oh, I'm left-handed, so I can't write it yet. And it's not time for my food yet, so I can't do anything. Let's see if I can erase these little marks I made by accident. Probably not. Well, it's coming off a little bit. At least I didn't get them on my actual snowflake cookies. You can tell that it's coming up a little bit because it's staining the eraser bits that are getting rubbed off of here. Well, that'll be good enough. Throwing those eraser bits in the trash. Are these dry? I think these are dry. So this one was called Sky Blue. Paper's still a bit soft, so it's actually not completely dry. This one was Denim Blue. This one was Ultramarine. I'll tell you the story behind the name Ultramarine. I learned it in my art history class. Early modern art history, ultramarine was extremely popular and among the rich people. Of course, that's who had art, was rich people. But it was also extremely expensive, so that's why it was popular. It was super rare. And part of the reason why is because it came from a certain stone, ultramarine, that was ground up, and it didn't exist in Europe. It had to come from across the sea, from beyond the sea. So that's why it's called ultra, as in beyond, and marine, as in the sea, the ocean. So those ultramarine stones were imported, I think, from Africa. So across the sea, I guess the Mediterranean, and So that's where the name came from, and literally, physically, the color came from across the sea. So that's why it's called that. These, obviously, ultramarine is generally not made with precious stones anymore. Not just because it's way too expensive and a very limited resource, but also some of these minerals that were used were extremely toxic. So I prefer the non-toxic materials. Hopefully this is. I think it said so on the little backing sheet. This one's called Purple Iris. Let me look real quick. I'm pretty sure it said non-toxic. Yep. Non-toxic. Boom. Maybe this is dark enough. I mean, dark enough, dry enough. But I don't really like how it turned out. I'm going to try it a second time and try adding a little bit more blue. Let's try it again. And then I'm going to go eat my food because it's been 10 minutes. Yay! I'm going to take another little break so I can eat my food. Smoky pea soup. I can't wait. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry, then we can compare this one, and this one. It's interesting, it doesn't just dry lighter, it's more yellow when it's wet, and it dries more, goes more toward the red end. So that's super interesting to me, and it's good to know. It's good to see what it looks like when it dries. Okay. Going on another break. Gonna eat my food and not be hungry anymore. If you got some food and you feel hungry, you should eat it too. I'll be back when I'm done. everyone, I'm back. Hopefully my door doesn't slam. Okay, that's all right. Aoife came in. You can see her. Aoife girl, Aoife girl. I had enough time. Well, that was enough time for me to eat half of a leaf side meal. But now I don't feel hungry, so that's enough. Back to work. And it's great because that allowed enough time for this to dry, and I'm seeing, actually, I don't like it with the blue in there. It does make it cooler, but what that does overall is make it seem more yellow. And I really like this warm, cozy color. It really captures my sense of the season. So we're designing for the end of autumn, the beginning of winter, Christmas time. Hold on. Sounds like Chappie wants to come back in too. Hi again, Chappie. Come on. There she is. There she is. Oh, she gets the big bed because Aoife took the small bed, even though she usually wants the big one. She changed her mind. Now you get to see Aoife in the lower puppy cam and Chappie's butt in the bigger, the upper puppy cam. Alright. So, I like this one. I'm going to put an X on these so that I remember. I don't want that one. I want this. So just walnut brown, orange, and tawny. So we'll put this blue back up here with the rest. Move these higher out of the way. They stick to my tabletop. There. Okay, so I've got my colors figured out. Oh, my reference image went away. So my screensaver came on. Okay, so let's try. I'm gonna zoom in on one of these cookies. Let's try painting one. So we've got the colors figured out, but we've got these little test cookies that we can try painting. So we'll just do what I did with the others, which is where there will be shadow, put this darker brown. Whew, I added hot sauce to my smoky pea soup, so it was... My mouth is still spicy. Spicy, spicy. And on this side you can see a little bit of shadows, but not everywhere. Not like on the opposite side. And then the tawny I want everywhere. So I'm just going to fill in the whole cookie with that. And I'm going to ice the cookies similar to how you would in real life, in that I'm not going to worry about where is the icing going to go. I'm just going to paint it on top after the cookie is done. One technique you could use is to map out where you want the icing and just try not to paint there. But I find it's easier just to do it this way. It's too much cognitive effort for not enough visual reward for me. The technique is cool when you do it, but what it ultimately results in is not worth the effort for me, for what I'm trying to do. So the orange I want as a kind of transition color between the lightest part of the cookie and the darkest part of the cookie. So let's add water to this and see what it looks like. When it's larger, you've got to keep wetting your brush or you'll run out of water. And if you take too long, it'll dry and then you'll add more water, but you'll get this little line. If you want it, that's one thing. But if you weren't expecting it or just couldn't make it in time or you forgot, then it can be a little bit of an eyesore. A little bit of a visual distraction. Something cool I just realized is since I plan to cut these out, it's fine if I go outside the lines a little bit. This is looking pretty good, but the dark brown isn't as precise as I'd like, so I'm gonna actually take my brush, wet it, and see if I can get some off of the tip. And it looks like it's working. So I've painted my brush on the dark tip so that I could get a little bit more dark brown for this area. Because if you draw on it while it's wet, it's gonna be a completely different effect. Not necessarily a bad effect. In fact, I think I might try it to get a little hard edge of brown in some specific areas. Hard edge of the dark brown. But you gotta be open to it just kind of going shoop and bursting into the water that's there. It's very organic. You cannot fully control it. But that's one of my favorite things about watercolor. I love how it looks. Let's see if I can get it. If I put my thumb in here, will it recognize it and like try to focus? Yay, it did. So you can see the, oh, I see it, it's casting a shadow. That's why it's all dark. Let me put the light on it from this angle. So you can see those organic fingers of color reaching in across the textured surface of the paper. So that's one cookie. But that's just one layer. We can let that dry and apply more using the same technique that I did with the wet brush, taking color from the tip of the pencil, or I could just draw on top, but you gotta let it dry first. So let's do this test cookie. I think what I want to do is add a little bit more brown than I did the first time. This time I'm trying an orange border on the brighter side. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you couldn't see. Oh, it's hard because these pencils are in the way. There. I'll do it like that. It's up on the pencils a little bit. Just a little bit of a border on those edges where the cookie would be curving down and around because it's 3D. It's a 3D object that I'm trying to depict. I definitely have a sense of lighting in this first one, so that's good. Cleaning my brush off a little bit because there's some areas I want to add more water to, but I don't want to drag the darker color into the lighter areas. So I gotta wipe the brush off to get that off of there. What I'm doing now is pulling color away to try to lighten up specific areas. Like a very subtle highlight. I could use a towel, but it only gets so small. I've got to be really, I can't really. If it was a bigger area, I'd use the towel, but it'll just take too much away. Ooh, adding a little water helps too. Just a tiny touch of water, just a little bitty bit. And keep wiping it, wipe, to get that color that I'm pulling off of my brush too, otherwise I'll just keep spreading it around. Oh yeah, that looks really good. Yay! This is also getting a really nice texture to it. So here's this one is dry now. Never looks as good on the camera because the camera doesn't want to be bright enough. This one's still drying, but much nicer, cooler looking, just thanks to this texture that was created by pulling the color off. This one I didn't do that and just let it dry. It's kind of flat looking. Also didn't add that extra orange edge, so I think that was a good decision. I like how that looks. But now I can try adding a little more. Let's try adding more with the color pencils. On top of one that's already dry. It's time for a final break time, but I'm going to wait a little bit because I took that really long couple of breaks back to back. So I'm going to try to get a little bit more work done first. Maybe I'll just work for the next half hour and end early again because I wasn't able to finish that blog post that I started yesterday, so I still want to finish that. It's my September charity fundraising report. Okay, and just added a little bit more around the bottom of this one using a tawny color. I wish the camera would focus. Oh well. Do like overall how this one's looking, though it's not as dark as it seems it needs to be gingerbread. So maybe I'll just add a little bit of the dark brown. Not for shadow, just to darken it up. Went over a wet part and it came out really dark right there. As long as we mix it in, it'll be fine. Might need to add a little bit more brown from the beginning. Well, brown. There's two browns. This one's actually named brown though, walnut brown. That's still wet, so I can't try. It's like I needed more tests. Well, I guess I gotta wait for it to dry, so I'll do what I did yesterday, which is read some more out of this book. Falling Up, Poems and Drawings by Shel Silverstein. While those dry, because I can't do any more testing until they're dry. This one's called Noise Day. Here's the illustrations at the bottom. Let's have one day for girls and boyses when you can make the grandest noises. Screech, scream, holler and yell, buzz a buzzer, clang a bell, sneeze, hiccup, whistle, shout. Laugh until your lungs wear out. Toot a whistle, kick a can, bang a spoon against a pan. Sing, yodel, bellow, hum, blow a horn, beat a drum, rattle a window, slam a door, scrape a rake across the floor. Use a drill, drive a nail, turn the hose on the garbage pail. Shout, Yahoo! Hurrah! Hooray! Turn up the music all the way. Try and bounce your bowling ball. Ride a skateboard up the wall. Chomp your food with a smack and a slurp. Chew, chomp, hiccup, burp. One day a year, do all of these. The rest of the days, be quiet, please. This is definitely a parent's poem. This is a parent's poem to a kid. Oh. Let's try it. Nope, these are still damp. I can tell because they still feel cool to the touch. When I tap the dry paper, it doesn't feel any different. But these still feel cool, so they're still wet. Here's the next one. It's called My Sneaky Cousin. She put in her clothes, then thought she'd get a free bath here at the laundrette. So round she goes now, flippity-flappity, looking clean, but not too happy. It's the kid in the washing machine. This one's called Little Horse, but it's horse as in sore throat. And yet the picture... This is another instance where the illustration and the text, they're not exactly working together. They're working off of each other, where we've got little horse. So it kind of sounds like, oh, I'm a little sore, my little sore throat, and my voice is hoarse. But clearly we're talking about something else based on this illustration. So it says, my voice was raspy, rough, and cracked. I said, I am a little horse. They stuck a saddle on my back and jumped on me, and now, of course, they trot me and they gallop me. They prance me up and down the town, yelling, giddy up, little horse. Some things don't mean the way they sound. That's funny. It's in parentheses, too. The bottom part is in parentheses. Like it's an afterthought. Still damp. Next one's called Danny O'Dare. Danny O'Dare, the dancing bear, ran away from the county fair, ran right up to my back stair, and thought he'd do some dancing there. He started jumping and skipping and kicking. He did a dance called the Funky Chicken. He did the polka and he did the twist. He bent himself into a pretzel like this. He did the dog and the jitterbug. He did the jerk and the bunny hug. He did the waltz and the boogaloo. He did the hokey pokey too. He did the bop and the mashed potato. He did the split and the see you later. And now he's down upon one knee, bowing oh so charmingly, and winking and smiling. It's easy to see. Danny O'Dare wants to dance with me. Testing. The paper is still wet. This one's getting there. The top one is getting there. Maybe one more. I can work on the top one. This one's called a furniture bash. The hand of the clock pinched the foot of the bed, so the foot of the bed kicked the seat of the chair. So the seat of the chair sat on the head of the table, so the head of the table bit the leg of the desk. So the leg of the desk bumped the arm of the couch, so the arm of the couch slapped the face of the clock. They pinched and they punched, and they banged and they knocked, and they ripped and they flipped and they rolled and they rocked, and the poor dresser drawer got a couple of socks. There was sawdust and springs when I turned on the light after that horrible furniture fight. And that's the truth, no lie, no joke. That's how your furniture all got broke. Well, it's kind of like a story a kid would tell. Maybe not quite so clever with the language there, but... Okay, we'll read this one too. It's called Why Is It? And this person's clearly having some struggles. Why is it some mornings your clothes just don't fit? Your pants are too short to bend over or sit. Your sleeves are too long and your hat is too tight. Why is it some mornings your clothes don't feel right? Yep, so this is it. And another example of if this text was by itself without the image, it would just be like, well, maybe you're bloated, maybe maybe your pants shrunk in the wash, or some more logical explanation. But then when you have the assistance of the illustration here, so the gloves are on the feet, the shirt is on as pants, the pants are trying to be a jacket. I don't know if those are long johns or what, but there's something on the head that's not a hat. So it's really cool when the illustration and the text can work together in various different ways. Here, it's a more just literal depiction of what the poem explains. The poem would be fine even without this psychedelic kind of illustration here. But this one, they really need each other to make sense or to be more interesting. Okay, these should be dry. Or at least dry enough to get on with. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll put my bookmark in this book. It's so cool that I mean, if I do say so myself, I'm glad I thought of this idea. Let's put it that way. I'm glad I thought of the idea of reading this poetry book of poems that I loved when I was a kid, as a way to pass the time. Man, I've been doing watercolor for years on here, and I never thought of anything like that until now. It took so long. Okay. So if I do end early, which I think I will, because I really want to get that blog post done, we've got about 15 minutes left. And I really like how this bottom one is turning out. Pulling that color up and then adding more on top. It's getting such cool texture. And I'm not getting quite the same amount. There is some texture on this first one. But pulling the color up and then adding more on top really seems to be the way to go, because we get a lot more interesting interactions between different colors of paint and the paper below it. Let me look at my reference image to see. So I'm actually going to switch to a different one. So this one, when I zoom in, it's all pixelated, so I can't see the details. So I'm going to go to a different one. Actually wondering if maybe I should. Well, I was just going to use white frosting, so this is the look I'm going for. I say I'm going to use frosting. I'm going to depict frosting, not actually using it literally. So I'm thinking about maybe it would be a good idea to reserve those spots, but it only feels that way when I'm looking at these ones that have colored frosting, and right now I'm not working on that. This will be useful for when I'm working on the gingerbread pups, but right now I'm just working on the gingerbread snowflakes, and this is the look I'm going for. So I think it'll be fine just to paint this on with gouache or something similar. And this is a great example because you can see how on these really pointy snowflakes, they got almost a little burned on the parts that are sticking way out. So that's good to note that it can have this darker area not just because of shadow and the way the light is lighting it up, but also just because of the baking process. When it's really thin, it will bake faster and therefore get darker than the rest of the cookie. More examples of it, and this one really shows it. Look at this one, it's very dark. Man, looking at this picture makes me want a gingerbread cookie. Well, I think I'll just get started on these ones. I was waiting for these to dry, but well, I guess I needed them to dry so that I could see how the color would lay once it was dry. Because as long as it's wet, there's still these little microscopic movements of the pigment on the paper. As the water evaporates, that's movement. Evaporation is movement. So it wasn't a waste to let it dry before moving on. Okay, so let's do this one. This is these were tests. This is one of the official ones. Feels so quiet now that I'm not reading a poetry book. applying the color in a little bit different order than I did the first time. I think that it'll be better putting the base color for the cookie down first and then adding these extra colors. Alright, now the orange. Spice it up. Okay. Now painting it. Wow, even without doing any scraping, I really like how that looks. Well, scraping, not really scraping, but pulling the color away using my brush. I think I'm just going to lightly do some, but I don't want to take away too much of this really cool texture that's already forming. I guess because of how I applied the color this time. I added a little bit more pigment to the paper before adding the water this time. Yeah, I'll let that dry. That's cookie number 1. Still got 7 minutes left before I end my stream a little early. Well, a little early, half an hour early, so that I can work on my blog. That should be enough time to do this base layer for the second main cookie too. you heard that. Chappie's having a little dream. It's doing some snorting. Base color done. Shadow and extra baked areas color. Next. And I've realized that I do need to, I don't have to, but I want to paint each individual cookie and not repeat them using Photoshop, because they will be they will either have to be exactly the same and be repeated, which I don't like. I want to have some difference. I had been imagining rotating them or something like that, but I'm adding shadows to these cookies, so they have to make sense with the lighting. So they have to be faced in the direction that the light would be coming from. So just using Photoshop or even physically rotating the cutout cookies isn't going to work. Alright, time to add the spice again. And the water. Also applied the water a little bit differently this time. Just started in the middle. I forgot I wanted to start with the lightest color. That means start in the middle, not at the edge. So I do want the colors to meld, but not so completely that it looks flat. I want to keep the middle relatively light compared to the edges. So like I said yesterday, hear the fire engine go pretty much every day. Living right next to it in the biggest city in my state. It's not a big city, not like some of the places I've been, like New York City or Busan or Tokyo. But it's the biggest city in the state, and the need for emergency services is a daily thing. So go get them. Save some lives. I don't know if you heard it, but I heard it because my window's open because it's so nice outside. cool. I'm getting some really neat effects just by adding water. Not even necessarily from taking the paint away. Cool. I love it. I love that watercolor look. Oh. So I love watercolor so much. It gets those cool edges where the water pushes the pigment out to the edge of the wet area. And then it's so fun because you can control where that area ends and how strong the line is. Digital watercolor tools just don't compare. If all you care about is getting a sort of watercolor-ish look and texture, then that's fine. But the joy of watercolor is just as much in using it as looking at it. So look how interesting it dried, the top one. Got these little patches of orange. Really strong orange speckling. And this is how this one looks now, but based on how this one dried, I think it's going to look a lot different once it dries. But this is perfect timing. It's exactly 1600. I'm going to end half an hour early today so I can work on my Studio Mikarts fundraising blog post. So that's going to be it for me today on Twitch. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and for everything you do to support Studio Mikarts. If you're new to my channel and want to see more, please follow Studio Mikarts on Twitch to get notified next time I go live, which will be tomorrow. You can also support me by becoming a Twitch subscriber to get ad-free viewing and cute emotes, joining my Patreon for lovely illustrations in the mail, or sending some creative fuel through Buy Me a Coffee. All the links are in my Twitch About section. I'll be streaming again tomorrow, working on the same project, so I hope to see you then. But either way, let me wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for watching!